Hey, what's good, family? This is Wood. Thanks for pressing play on another Bite Down boxing clip. As I just said, this is Wood, the Donnie Simpson of boxing talk. And I'm going to wait to see if anybody shows up. I really don't do a whole lot with the chat, but this is Friday night, is my free night. And I just listened to Deontay Wilder's co-manager Shelly Finkel on the XM Friday Night Boxing Show, and he said a couple of things, and I just wanted to know. This isn't a diss song. This is just a good song. I don't have the answers to all of these questions. I don't want to present it like I do. Let me get that NCAA out of stuff out of there. But I don't know all the answers, but you know, I do listen when people are saying things, and some of this stuff doesn't add up to me. Some of it does. So I'm just throwing some of this stuff out there. I'm happy to be enlightened because, like I said, I don't know the details of all of this stuff. But it was a weird interview. I don't know if anybody is a fan of the Friday night show. I could imagine, based on what I see on YouTube, that a lot of people aren't. And plus, you can just come on here and do your own thing. And I think, in some ways, I think the show was a little fugazi tonight. It was real fugazi. And that's the host of the show was Randy Gordon, who you might remember is the cat that Adrian Broner roasted before the fight with Pacquiao. I'm not always a fan of him, but he is an older guy who's been around the game for a minute. So, but he's on there, and then Jerry Cooney is the other host. But Shelly Finkel was on there, and he just said that a package was laid. This is what he said exactly. They were talking about the deal to fight, or the difference in the money between the DAZN deal and the $20 million reported for the Brazil fight versus what Showtime might be paying him. Notice that Showtime and that side of it hasn't really put any figures. Maybe that's cool for you. Maybe that is something that you tune into. Like, why aren't we hearing any details? Me personally, I'm curious as to what the commitment is from Showtime to Deontay. I mean, if he's foregoing some of this stuff, like what's the commitment to him? Besides him just coming out and kissing the Showtime ring and showing that I'm loyal, like what's the give? But anyway, Shelly Finkel said that no, they're not getting $20 million for the Brazil fight, but he said in the package that was laid out for Deontay, in the end, it'll be that much. So again, I'm just curious. Like, I'm not trying to bash Deontay Wilder and his business team, and I'm not trying to take shots at Al Heyman. What's the package? Why can't we know what the package is? Why can't we have an expectation for what's going on, over the next, what's the outlook? That's part of boxing. I mean, you talk, like I said, in years past, you come out and you tell us what the whole 12-month schedule is for fights. So right here, we can't know nothing, but we do know that it is a package out there. We don't know, a number of fights, a number of years, or a number of dollars, or an amount of dollars. So that's one thing that he said. So then he came back and they said, one of my questions. Help me out, whoever that is in the chat viewing. Help me out if you got an opinion on this. If you looked at the Bob Arum, damn, they just broke camp. Okay. If you looked at the Bob Arum discussion or interview, or not interview, but the article on boxingscene.com with him giving an attaboy to Al Heyman and Shelly Finkel turning down the $100 million, $120 million DAZN offer. Something in there, it mentioned Bob Arum said something about it being a $200 million or $250 million fight, somewhere around there. So I guess my question was, before that person just pulled out, pause, if it is $200 million or $250 million, the cable provider or whoever distributes the pay-per-view, don't they get half of that $250 million? If so, if my math is messed up or I'm just ignorant on this, I may be, but if it's 200, just to keep it simple, or if it's two, let's go 250. So that will leave 125 for the fighters. Then they have to split that up, and then the promoter gets his cut, and then, there's other people down the sheet that get that cut. But if it's $125 million that's there to be divvied up, and I lead into this because part of the issue was they said for the $40 million, one thing that they rejected or demanded to know was what is AJ getting paid? Fair question. And DAZN wouldn't give that up. But my thing is, can they give that up? Can they share that? That might be part of the confidentiality or the NDA or the non-disclosure agreement. Maybe they can't give that up. But I say that to say, if he's getting 40, how much more above 40 can they afford to give Anthony Joshua? I mean, it's only so much to chop up out here. How much more can they give him? Can they give him 75 million? Can they give him 70 million? I'm just asking. Another thing that Shelly Finkel, which was a jab at the opposition or the ops, he said, now we can go and fight on Showtime in front of millions. Whereas if we took the deal, we would have only fought in front of thousands. We would have fought in front of a few thousands people, few thousand of people, or thousands of people versus millions of people on Showtime. Another question that I have, honest question. If you can bet on yourself with this package that Showtime has laid out for you and presented to you, why are you completely unable to bet on yourself in the fact that if you go over to DAZN, X amount of new subscribers will follow you over there? Why are you so unwilling to make that bet on yourself? Now, I mean, that could revolutionize boxing, to be honest with you. If they have 5 million downloads now, I believe that's what the number is 5 million downloads in North America. If that went up to 8 million or 9 million or whatever that number bumped because your fight comes on, that's hard numbers right there. Now, Shelly Finkel, you couldn't negotiate anything, any elevator in there, any elevator clause. Like, are you doing your damn job? Like, how hard is some stuff to get done? You're a lawyer. I believe his profession is a lawyer. Did you really think that they could share what the contract is with them? Like, it seems like you would know that that's something that we can't give you. I buy stuff for a living. When I ask some of the business partners that I deal with and interact, when they give me a quote and they say they got a cost increase from their business partner that goes towards the widget that we buy, hey, can I see what they charge? Can you send me that invoice? I don't think anybody sent me that invoice yet. You got to take their word for it. Then I go back and see, okay, I got to go look at historical information for similar widgets. And it's Friday. I'm sitting here talking about work, but you got to go use other things to benchmark your number against. And I'm sorry, 40 million. I mean, I can't tell you what to sign for and what to do, but again, if we're looking at it, how much more really could they give you that's above the 60-40 split that was out there? And then I guess maybe call me ignorant too, but I mean, if they have 3 of the belts and you only have 1, I mean, isn't that worth 55-45 or maybe 60-40? Is it worth? I don't know. That's opening up, a can of worms right there. But yeah, that was one shot. We could only watch a few thousand people. I mean, we would only be seen by thousands of people versus being viewed by millions of people. And then I think he finished it up with saying that if we have a number in the millions, that strengthens our position to bargain later on. Checking out some of this NCAA action. That was my next point. He mentioned, can DAZN share any of AJ's details about his deal? They asked, what is AJ getting? Again, coming in the door, in my opinion, I mean, I guess it was cool to ask, but coming in the door, I would have thought that you weren't gonna, in that meeting, you weren't gonna get that information, period. And then if you're not doing the deal and you come in here and I disclose that information to you and you just leave, well then what benefit what did we gain? That just seems like something that wouldn't be shared. I'm sorry. Again, I've never been offered, I've never reviewed a fight offer. I've never been involved in any of this stuff, but I'm just saying from past experiences, that just doesn't sound like that's, you're not going to get specific numbers. Another thing that Shelly Finkel said was there was no certainty in this deal that we got the AJ fight. Again, this is where I struggle with this stuff. What else are you meeting for? If you went to, that's like, I'm not a LeBron James fan per se. I'm definitely not a LeBron James stan. Last Friday night, my wife and I went up to Detroit to watch the Pistons host the Los Angeles Lakers. Now I can say all I want that I'm going to see the Detroit Pistons. I can say that till I'm blue in the face, the whole 3.5-hour drive up there. But let's be honest, I'm here to see LeBron. Now, ironically, LeBron didn't suit up that night, but that's my point. That's not my point. My point is, what the hell else would John Skipper have called you in for? A future fight, a catch weight fight with Canelo? I mean, maybe it was Usyk. It was to fight Usyk. I'm sorry. Again, Shelly Finkel, is he doing his job? How is that not just in the language? Like that's in the what you're looking at is 3 fights and AJ's name isn't in there. And then like if AJ would balk at the fight after the fact, this contract wouldn't mean anything for you to go to if it cost you a year and you lost a year's worth of earnings because he messed around and didn't make the fight. Like there was no way that's a slam dunk case for you to be compensated for the earnings that were lost. That just doesn't seem like a valid reason to me. The last point that really irked me a little bit or a lot was the host, Randy Gordon. They got all these guys coming on this show week to week. They got all these guests. Tom Loeffler was on there after Shelly Finkel got off. But you have all these guests coming on the show, and you tell everybody they're great while they're there, and they're fantastic while they're there in the studio or on the phone. But then Randy Gordon turns around and says, I always believed that Eddie Hearn never wanted Wilder to face Joshua. How reckless is that for the host of the show to put that out there? Just what the hell has been going on the last year and a half, or at least the last 6 months, since the April 13th date was set out there by the Joshua team? What have they been talking about if Eddie Hearn doesn't want Joshua to face Wilder? Like if that's where we are with this whole thing, we're still trying to prove that these two guys are or are not afraid of one another, then it's definitely time for all of us to move on and go do something else. I mean, I couldn't sit here, even though I don't like the fact that they turned down, that the Wilder team turned down this DAZN deal. I could not sit here with a straight face and tell you that and say that Wilder doesn't want to face Anthony Joshua. The money and all of this, the way that the terms and everything is set up, maybe it's getting in the way. But I can't say at this point that neither one of these guys don't want to face one another. But that's what the host of this show sat there and said. And I listen to this show weekly, man, because it's on when I ride home from work. But I'm sitting there like, why can't certain dudes get in these positions to host these shows on these bigger platforms? And we got to listen to a dude that sits there just because he has Shelly Finkel on the phone, that you put something out there like that. But that's not what you've been saying the past month and a half. But now to curry favor with this man, you say that I always believed that Eddie Hearn never wanted Wilder to face Joshua. Then what the hell is Joshua? Then what the hell is Joshua sitting here trying to get into the American market for? Like, he's run out of big time options. I mean, the fight is here. There's no more marinating it. There's no more cooking it. The fight is now here, and they just need to get this sorted out. So again, whoever just came into the live stream, and I'm just asking questions, trying to look at this from both sides. If you got a question or a comment on this thing, I don't know if you heard this Shelly Finkel interview that was on XM Radio about 40 minutes ago. Shelly Finkel was on there talking through some of the details of the DAZN fight or the DAZN deal, and I'm just picking it apart. Oh, guess you didn't have anything to add to it. So that was pretty much it, man. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions that I had, or things that I was curious about, and then one question, like, I just don't understand how a talk show host sits there and makes a statement like that. Because a few weeks ago, Eddie Hearn was on there, and Eddie, were they in the studio? I don't remember if he was in the studio or not, but maybe he was on the telephone. And another thing with this interview, the interview was going along, and then Randy Gordon makes this statement that Eddie Hearn never wanted Wilder to face, never wanted him to face Joshua. He was protecting Joshua from him. And then in the middle of the interview, Randy Gordon stops talking for like 12 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. And he's saying like, like somebody is in his ear or somebody's mouthing something to him. And he doesn't say anything. And then the interview just ends. And then the breaker music comes on to go into the break. And so it was a weird interview, in my opinion. And then they basically just advocate, basically just co-signed everything that Finkel said from his perspective, and just didn't press for any real information or anything. And I think the producer of the show, Josh, came on and tried to ask one question with a little bit more spice on it, but I think that's when Randy Gordon jumped in with his stuff, and then it just never really finished. So again, man, I just think we all deserve better than this. Just listening to Finkel's comments on some of this stuff and his perspective. Oh, last thing, and I'm gonna get on off of here. Finkel actually said that the 3-fight deal wasn't that intriguing for them or enticing for them, because because he said he expected Wilder to knock AJ out, and he said that AJ and Eddie Hearn, he said, why would they want a third fight or a second fight? Why would they want a rematch? The third fight in the deal. And so if this guaranteed money, if your money is good, and you knock this man smooth out and put him down, what do you care if the third fight gets made? I mean, the rematch gets made or not? Like, but he was saying if we ruin, his words were something like, if we ruin Eddie Hearn, or if we ruin Anthony Joshua for Eddie Hearn's future business, like, we really don't want to do that by knocking him out twice. And I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but this was kind of the nature of the discussion. And I'm just sitting here like, that's very weird that you would care what the future holds for the opponent, especially with all the trash that's been talked and everything that's supposedly been done. Why would you care? And after you collect your check that night, what does it matter? And again, if you have a contract and it's a 3-fight deal, and if the third fight didn't happen, how hard of a lawsuit is that to either get a settlement or to just win a suit? I mean, it just doesn't all add up to me. It would have been better to just come on and make one statement and say that we have a package. We're not going to reveal everything. We're doing the right thing from our perspective. We're moving forward with that, and we may or may not revisit the Joshua fight in the future. It is a good chance that the Fury thing could come around, and ultimately, we think there's a bigger financial opportunity out there going this route. Just give me that. But to sit here and say that you care about ruining the future earning potential of the opponent, I haven't heard that before. But you want to punch my man's brains out. You want to punch through his skull and tickle his brain or something. Okay, tell me anything. Well, look, man, I was trying to have a decent discussion with you. North Dakota State is staying with these boys. And if he hit this air ball. But yeah, I was trying to have, I'm looking for help, man. I'm just trying to get a feel for what's real. And, maybe somebody can enlighten me or fill in, connect some of the dots for me. Whoever just checked in, man, I'm getting ready to jump on off here. Enjoy your night. And, thanks for pressing play on the Bite Down Boxing playlist. Supporting Pay Me No Mind YouTube channel. Whoever just checked in, did you have any comment on what you might or may know on what's going on or the status of the negotiations or the failed negotiations between DAZN and Team Wilder? Any thoughts? I'm gonna stay on here 20 seconds. Anyway, I'm gonna get on off of here. Have a great night. Have a great weekend. Hopefully your brackets are good. Thanks for the people that participated in the bracket challenge for Pay Me No Mind for the channel. And I'm out of here. Oh, and enjoy the fight. What is that? Sunday night? Lipinets and Peterson at the house. Very interesting fight. I don't really have a winner at this moment. I just think it's gonna be well contested. But let me jump on off here and enjoy this basketball.